So let's bring in the foreign editor at the Australian newspaper, Greg Sheridan. Greg, welcome. I want to start with the former Prime Minister Tony Abbott's opinion piece today, if I may, about the increasingly perilous times we're facing and how the West has to confront them or, quite frankly, lose. You know, since the end of the Cold War, the West, particularly the United States, Greg, has been sitting pretty in relative prosperity despite conflicts in the Middle East. But we're now living in an age of new czars, empires with Russia and China. How did we end up in this schmozzle?
Well, very valuable piece by Tony Abbott. I think the big problem is we've got very fat and lazy. We're making massive transfer payments to ourselves across all Western societies. We've completely run out of budget discipline. And because the Americans have provided international security to us so effectively, nobody is anymore making any serious effort. But in this country, we've had 15 years of shocking policy under Rudd, Gillard, Rudd, and then Abbott, Turnbull and Morrison, where we've produced almost no defence capabilities that could deter China or, you know, make it pay a price for any adventurism in our part of the world. So the main thing we have to do is very simple. We have to straight away stop wasting money on tanks and heavy armoured vehicles and all that rubbish and get lots and lots of missiles, lots and lots of drones, lots of submarines and follow an asymmetric military strategy which would impose a cost on China for tangling with us in our part of the world. And the fact that we haven't done that until now shows that we've just expect the Americans can do everything. And as Mr. Abbott argues, that's a dangerous presumption now.
Yeah, exactly. He says the world is too perilous to rely on the United States dominance anymore, especially in the Indo-Pacific, Greg.
That's right. I mean, you know, I think I love the Americans and I believe in the American alliance, and I think finally they will be reliable. But, you know, if the Americans lost in Taiwan and decided to just go back to America and forget about Asian security, they would still be basically secure. They wouldn't lose their homeland or anything. We, however, would be in desperate trouble. And, you know, the Americans may one day decide they have other things to do with their treasure than defend us. And we're a very wealthy nation, you know, 26 million of the richest people in the world. We could provide for our own defence if we decided to. I mean, Hezbollah, Islamic terrorist group in southern Lebanon, has 100,000 missiles. If Australia had 100,000 missiles in northern Australia, no one would come near us. But we have decided not to do that. Hezbollah can do it. The Australian government can't. While Hezbollah gets 100,000 missiles, we'll get another white paper or something like that.
Too right. Now, the Prime Minister went to Thursday Island today in the Torres Strait to discuss his proposed Indigenous voice, but he copped a somewhat frosty reception, we hear from locals and Indigenous leaders who branded the PM a hypocrite for winding up the cashless welfare card. This is the key here, isn't it? The Indigenous voice is redundant when you have numerous Indigenous MPs in the House, while the measures that have proven effective are being abolished.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. So I think it is a bad mistake to abolish these measures, the cashless welfare card and the dry communities. And Aboriginal leaders are telling us that, Noel Pearson, but also Aboriginal women, Jacinta Price. They're saying, you know, so that you city-based white fellas can feel good about liberalising a conservative policy, we're going to be beaten to death and terrible domestic violence is going to be inflicted on women and kids. And I think that just shows the hypocrisy and lack of reality in most left-wing policy making. On the voice, my objection to it is not that it's redundant. If it could do any good, I'd be happy to have it, but I don't want it in the Constitution. I don't want anything in the Constitution which divides Australians on the basis of race. And if there's any good that the voice can do, well, Parliament could legislate for it tomorrow. I don't think its design is likely to do any good because the thing is you need to listen to local communities rather than national symbolic leaders. But I just don't want anything in the Constitution based on race.
Yeah, well said.